The American Bar Association put out a formal ethics opinion on January 8th, 2025, about a special situation that lawyers face when they represent an organization like a corporation or a large nonprofit. It could be a school or a hospital, or a company, anything like that, where you have a situation arise where there could be legal consequences for the constituents of the organization, not just for the entity. And remember that when a lawyer is representing an entity, the entity is the client, not the people who work for the entity, including the individual who oversees the lawyer's work or may have hired the lawyer to work for that entity. So let's dive into ABA Opinion 514 and talk about the basic takeaway for lawyers today when they are in practice. Okay, so again, we're talking about warning about legal risks for a client entity's constituents here. And just to kind of give you a quick overview about this opinion, a lawyer basically has ethical duties when advising an entity about conduct that may create legal risks for the organization's constituents. And when advising an organization, lawyers necessarily provide their legal advice through constituents, such as employees or officers or board members. So when the lawyer is representing the corporation, it has to occur through some people. And those people could have legal interests or legal issues or legal risks related to what the lawyer needs to do for the corporation. So I pulled out a few quotes for you that I think are the big quotes from this opinion. At times, the organization's decisions may have legal implications for its constituents who will be acting on the organization's behalf, including the constituents through whom the lawyer conveys advice. And this situation implicates both the lawyer's duties to the organization client and the lawyer's professional obligations in interacting with the non-client constituents of the organization. And you may remember that we have different rules in the model rules for basically dealing with people that are third parties that may not be represented by their own counsel when you are representing a client on a matter. And this would be a classic example. So you represented an organization. You're in a board meeting and you need to remind the board that the decision or the work they're asking you to do could create civil or even criminal liability for board members or for certain employees of the organization if something goes wrong. And that's the type of advice that we're talking about. So what are the lawyers supposed to do about these consequences to constituents? Well, it's not enough to just say, well, my client is the organization, so therefore I don't care, or I'm not even going to mention the fact that the matter I'm handling for them is going to result in liability or legal risks for some of the employees or shareholders or board members or so forth. If a lawyer, whether it's in-house or outside counsel, is giving legal advice to an organization that's the client about future action that the organization may choose to take, probably normally the lawyer should advise the organization about the constituents' potential legal risks. In other words, they don't make a bright line rule in this decision. They keep using hedge words like may, but the fact is that a lawyer could end up being subject to discipline for violating some of the model rules, for not warning an organization that some of the legal actions that they've asked the lawyer to take could kind of blow back on the employees or board members or the CEO or president, whoever's in charge of the organization. Also, in addition, in providing advice to the organization, the lawyer will sometimes have to explain that when individual constituents act on behalf of the organization, their acts may have legal implications for them as well as the organization. So sometimes you are talking to a person who's a manager or a board member of a corporation and about what they want the corporation to do. And you need to at least disclose to them that there could be legal issues that they would face personally, and that they should talk to separate counsel about that. So lawyers for the organization also should avoid referring to individual constituents as their clients. It's easy to get sloppy about this in practice. And you are either in-house counsel or outside counsel, and you refer to the person from the corporation as your client. It's always the entity. If you're representing the entity is a client. Also, you should correct people from the corporation who refer to the lawyer as if you were their own lawyer. If they say, "This is my lawyer," you should actually correct them and say, "Actually, I'm the company's lawyer or the corporation's lawyer or the school's lawyer," or whatever it may be. And that's the basics, the basic takeaway that you need from Ethics Opinion 514 from 2025.